today we are unpacking one of the most enduring legacies of colonialism, cash crop agriculture. The big question is, why do so many African nations grow what they don't eat and eat what they don't grow? How did colonial policies force African economies into dependence on exports like coffee, cocoa, and cotton, while leaving millions food insecure? And most importantly, how does this system still persist today under new forms of control? To help me unpack this issue and connect the dots and explore the issue in a deeper way, who other than Mamadou Goita, the foremost expert on the issue? I knew Mamadou about 2 decades ago. He is one of the most humble and highly knowledgeable and also highly involved in the politics of African agriculture in Africa. Mamadou, welcome.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be with you, Million. My name is Mamadou Goita. I'm from Mali. I'm the Executive Director of IRPA, that is the Institute of Research and Promotion of Alternative and Development. I'm also an honorary member of AFSA, the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa.
Thank you, Mamadou. The first question would be, to start us off, how did colonial powers shape African agriculture? What's the story? And why cash crop farming prioritized over food production?
Thank you. This is a very important question. We need to go a bit far in the very beginning of colonialism, because there was a step in the 19th century. There was a process of identifying in all the colonized countries where the economy is standing and what are the different zones where the colonizers can just try to produce for their own consumption system. So if you look at the case of Mali, for instance, already in the later 80s, 98, there was a mission that was committed by the Minister of Agriculture in France, just to explore, in the case of the colonies in West Africa, where can they start producing some of the good that they didn't have.
But how did France come to Mali?
France came to Mali by war. First, because it was a violent invasion of these countries, and they have been fighting against the different kingdoms that exist. Because if you look at the trajectory of Mali, we have been the Mali Empire, we have the Ghana Empire, because it's mostly the same territory. We have the Songwe Empire. So French came in this country by fighting against the different kingdoms, and then just invading different regions, and then setting up colonization processes in this country, but also in West Africa, because they expanded also up to the northern part of the continent. So it has been a process of conquest, a violent process, resistance like Babemba in the southern part of Mali, but also Samori Touré, who had been deported in Gabon, who died in 1900 in Gabon because he was deported as a resistance. But also this resistance continued in the northern part of my country with kingdoms like Askia Mohammed, but also Sheikh Oumar Tall, who has been fighting against colonizer for a long time. But finally, happened to just to dominate the country, to set up the rules. Setting up.
Then one of the rules is cash crops.
Cash crops.
Okay.
There are two very interesting stories on the cash crop issue. Cotton in the case of Mali, but also in West Africa you have cocoa and coffee with Cote d'Ivoire. In the case of Mali, because before the World War II, already the French was trying to find how they can feed the industries, the textile industry, because France was very depending on the US. 75% of the raw material that France was using was coming from the US production. So they were buying on a long distance, but one of the governors just proposed to, instead of just going that far and buying that expensive crop, they should explore how to exploit some of the colonies that have potential for cultivating cotton in their own country. So 1898, there was a first mission that left France and went to Mali and see where can they find better places for producing irrigated cotton. But at the very beginning, because there was cotton production already in Mali, before colonization.
Yeah, before they came.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there were local variety. But when they came in 1898, they tried to explore what will be the best places where they can grow cotton. They tried for the first time with varieties coming from the US first. They tried some of the seed varieties because they found that the local variety that were there were not that productive for the industry. So they tried to integrate new seeds, firstly coming from the US, and they just realized that it was not working. So one of the reasons that they gave is not because the seed are not adapted to the context, but just because the landscape was not really adapted to it. What they can do, instead of just because this is a Sahel country, but instead of just growing in the condition that people are growing cotton in the country, they need to go for irrigation.
So where did the skill came now? The skill was imported from outside then.
Exactly.
So they are imposing the new skill.
Exactly. So not only the way they said that the way of producing that the groups the local were doing is not appropriate because it's not that high yield production. Secondly, that these seeds they were very important in terms of the quality of the fibers, but the production the density was a bit low. So they decided just to have new varieties. They tried ones also coming from the UK because there was a UK variety that came in the country. It was not productive. They tried the US one later on, and they decided now with the governor to investigate if there is any possibility to grow irrigated cotton because the variety that they were
of the local variety.
Exactly. So then they decided to explore, and there was they explored so many times, but it started to exploring this irrigation area almost for 10 years because the first mission that was committed engineers to come and see along the river Niger, that was one of the first biggest river in Africa, that along this river, what will be the very interesting places where they can build a kind of dam and have irrigation system. So exploration just have been taking place, and so we had already in 1992, and then they tried to explore this trajectory and found two places. The first one is Baginda. This is about 45 kilometers from Bamako. That was suitable for irrigation, but not for cotton. They said that this is not really appropriate for cotton. And then when they went 250 kilometers, that is in the Segu region, and they found that this place can be really a very important one. But the population was very low.
So the population of people.
Exactly.
So they had to
they were
force other people to go to that area.
Exactly. So they had to push people to go, not only building the dam, because they call people from all the West African countries, Anglophone one, Burkina Faso. You find some of the names of the villages of Burkina Faso in Mali because of that. People from Niger, people from Guinea, but there was a lost resistance by Samuru Touré at that side. But few people came and joined. So they built that dam and said that, okay, we will just try to manage 960,000 hectares of land. Out of that, the big majority will be for cotton production, irrigation, and the other side will produce rice. And so this is our industry.
Okay, this is like a prototype of what they were doing also in other West African countries.
Because the exploration was for the whole West Africa. Cote d'Ivoire case is a different one because they found that there was a big potential. Cote d'Ivoire in 1960, for instance, had 14 hectares of forest. Now they are less than 3 million.
Wow. Okay.
Because of coffee and cocoa production. They found that in that area, they need to have a new colonization from other people coming from West Africa. This is why you find a big community from Burkina Faso, from Mali, and from Guinea. They have been calling them to come because the forest, Ivory Coast, the population was not only low, but also they couldn't explore, this density of the forest at that period. So Mali with cotton, because they found that there was possibility to have irrigated cotton.
So there was already practice there.
Exactly.
Indigenous practice.
And then the infrastructure issue, because the river, they can bring cotton from Segu region to Bamako, just close to Bamako, and Koulikoro particularly, that is 60 kilometers from Bamako. And then from there, the train coming from Senegal can just dig and bring it to their country. So it was just producing And then it was clear that message, there is a decree that says that now we need really to extract, our economic raw materials from the colonies. It was a very design agenda, just how they can do the maximum to function, economic resources from this.
Yeah.
Water is part of it. So those part there is rivers, so they have to explore for irrigation and producing cash crops in priority, because this is not feeding people, but just bringing to feed their industries. So the textile industry was big, and then after war, since there was a crisis in bringing this cotton from the US, they decided just to use it in West Africa.
After the war means Second World War.
Second World War.
Okay,
because there was a big crisis.
Okay, so what is actually the impact of cotton production on the local livelihood? What happened to the people, the production of food, and
So this zone finally, because after independence, people, the first president Mamadou Goita decided just to stop producing any cotton in this area. He said that we have to produce food stuff. So rice became a key product, and then other vegetable crops are actually there, potatoes and then onions and all other vegetables.
Local rice or rice coming from?
Nice. That's mainly local rice, because the variety that is really people love is a local rice. But there have been temptation also to work on imported seeds. Many different imported seeds from Asia, but also from the US have been introduced. But finally, Malians love their local rice, but they push the frontier of cotton production from Segu region to Sikasso region, because this is the most rain-fed crops area. Because it's close to Sikasso. Sikasso is the third region of Mali, very close to Cote d'Ivoire. So we have mainly the same climate that we have in Cote d'Ivoire that is there. About 6 months of rain, sometimes 5 months. And then they push the frontier and push people just to produce his cotton from feeding the industry. And the company that was created, because the irrigation system that was in 5th of January 1932, there was the official inauguration of a dam for cotton production in Segu region. Now they push it to Sikasso, and finally the company that was created was CMDT. This is the Malian company on textile, exactly the same name of CFDT. CFDT was France, M was from Mali, and the F was from
Is this after independence?
Exactly.
So after independence, then the new government continued what the previous government was doing. Why is that?
Yeah, because the company was so depending, but there were not that big investment. They stopped investing on cotton production. The first president, what he did is to create two new industries on textile, Comatex and Itema. Comatex was the other side, the side of Sikasso, and the other one at the central part of the country. So they just had, instead of just exporting this raw material, he decided to process in the country. This is the first measure. But the company that was managing, that was not doing this processing, it was still called CMDT. That was created by colonial power, and it didn't change it, but just changed the way that they were trading with the cotton. So and then it was open again in the 80s.
But the question would be, this is a story for Mali. Then other francophone countries which are under the French.
For Cote d'Ivoire, it's the same story, and also for Burkina, because Burkina also have been pushed in cotton production.
Okay.
Benin have been pushed in the cotton production. Senegal also have been pushed in the cotton production, because when they got problems from the side in Mali, because there was a resistance from the local community just to produce cotton. It was very hardship work, and secondly also it was not profitable for them at all, because they couldn't see even any gram of cotton that was processed in the past, locally. They couldn't see anything for their own clothes and things, so they decided just to move to Burkina Faso again. So for production of cotton, so Burkina get in, Benin, Senegal, and part of Cote d'Ivoire. The north of Cote d'Ivoire also is a cotton production area. So, but the rest of Cote d'Ivoire, that was really ready also to feed the chocolate industry and also for the coffee industry, they decided just to push the frontier there to produce coffee and cocoa. So that is where also they started. So specialized countries, Mali was for cotton mainly. Senegal, the majority of the cash crop was peanut.
Okay.
To feed the oil industry
In France. Okay.
in France, because there were those were completely exporting, the peanut from Senegal.
Okay.
So Burkina get into cotton, and Cote d'Ivoire have been pushed in cocoa and coffee, and Ghana. Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana are the two countries that have been pushed on that. Rather also in the case of Togo and other countries. So they specialized countries on this cash crop and dominating, and the whole system of supporting agriculture have been focusing in the case of Mali on cotton production.
Do we have statistics on how much was the country getting, how much was the community getting, and how much France?
No, at the colonial period, there were zero for local community. All the production. Because it was like a slavery. It was a continuation of slavery things. People were working for free in the farms.
Wow.
Even the dam has been built for free by different communities coming from the region. Then, after the independence, so everything was transferred in the hands of local communities, but the president stopped cotton production. But for the rice, so those who were settling up on there were just processing for themselves. So the local communities that were there have been on it. So if you look at the colonial period, so it was like we are working for free, but they were just feeding them to work on the farms. But after independence, they still continue just to explore for the rice production. They continue just to pay people to do the work. But our president, the first president, stopped this process and just nationalized even the land, because there was a title on this land.
By the French?
Title by France. The France had a title on the 960,000 hectares. There was a title on them, but it was written on this title that there is a possibility of extending to 2 million hectares for them. But after independence, they take back the title, and it became Mali property on this land. But so Cote d'Ivoire, the story is really very interesting, because Cote d'Ivoire there was not that a strong empire in Cote d'Ivoire per se. But the introduction, they did it via using a kind of agreement with the local chiefdoms that exist, and then trying to explore the potentiality of this country to produce cocoa and to produce coffee. Because for them, it was an opportunity for them to make some money. But what they have been given to them was only alcohol drinks in exchange.
To the people?
Yeah. For the lands, they were doing them alcohol drink, sometimes cigarettes, smoking channels, and they gave them also some of the cooking tools, and then some of these...
for the land?
Exactly. For the land. They were getting peanut from that's giving the land, and they have been cutting all the trees, not only exporting the wood that were exported in France.
To France, they cut the trees.
All the trees that were cut were going to France. They're going to France, and then just after that they start growing coffee and cocoa.
Okay, but my question would be, what is the role of SEFA in this? What's the role of SEFA? They introduced the monetary system.
Yeah, because SEFA was...
What is SEFA?
Yeah, this is a colonial currency.
It's called what? It's CEFA.
Exactly.
Stands for what?
Colonie Française d'Afrique. Colonie Française d'Afrique is the French colonies of Africa. French colonies in Africa. That was the name of the currency. Then they changed it, Communauté Française.
Colony to community.
To community. And then they decided to have this currency because for them it was a way of extraverting the economic system. Because everything that you will be selling outside was guaranteed by the France, what we call the franc at that period. It was not euro, it was the franc.
How does that work? Can you explain in a very simple terms to our audience?
Yeah. So this means that, for instance, if Mali want to trade with other countries like UK or US.
UK, let's say
you send it, they will buy it in dollars or in pounds.
You in the UK or US,
exactly.
buy it,
So your money cannot go directly in your country, because the international guarantee of the currency is done by franc français.
Yeah.
Or franc français, but now it's euro.
Yeah.
Then it's worse now. It was 25% of the total amount of your trade revenue is used to guarantee.
So it stays
convertibility of CFA
to
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the French central bank that will keep the 25% of it, but now it's 50%.
50.
50. It's half. That is guaranteed because they said that they are taking more risk within European Union.
So for me, for example, you're selling cotton to the UK.
Exactly.
Let's say that you are selling the cotton to the UK with 100,000 pounds.
Exactly.
So that means the money does not come directly to
No.
it came through France.
Exactly.
So France keeps half of it.
Exactly. Not only
50,000.
It is more than that. Not only they will keep, because this money is coming in pound, so they have a foreign currency.
Yeah.
So it's coming in pound, so they have a local currency in their account, but they transform it to euros, the equivalent
in pound
euros.
to euros. Yeah.
But Mali is not receiving euro, even the 50%. Mali will receive it in CFA.
Oh.
And CFA, the industry that produce CFA, the notes and the coins, is in France. So this means that they produce the quantity, because they have done it many times, they produce the quantity of money that they owe you. They don't send any euro, they send this currency to you, because the central bank is managing it. You never receive this money in euro, you receive it in CFA. Wow. And this CFA company is in France, in a very small village.
So they still take some.
Exactly. So this is the case. This is why countries like Mali now say we have to pull out. After independence, Mali has been the first country to pull out of CFA in 1961.
But the question now is, well, countries were not happy. There were uprisings and they won their freedom, in 1960s.
Yeah.
But why do they still keep on exporting instead of producing food for themselves? That's the question.
Yeah, there was some countries didn't have any choice because they were so depending on this, even for the small investment, that the power that came was so depending on this model of trade that they couldn't stop, because all the money that were getting from outside were coming from that. So no, because there were two kind of political regimes, in West Africa, for instance. There was a socialist bloc, with Kwame Nkrumah, Mamadou Goita from Mali, Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana, Mamadou Goita from Mali, Sékou Touré from Guinea. They were all socialist regimes. Very strong relationship with Soviet Union, with Cuba, with China, etc. So this bloc, they decided to nationalize all the companies, because we had about 45 different French companies in Mali, and they are all being nationalized.
The government took them
and then transformed them to national companies. But that were
owned by the government.
Exactly. And the others have been created later on. And the other bloc with Senegal, it was a socialist regime, but binding to the capitalist system. They were really relying on France as a backup.
Still.
And Côte d'Ivoire, because they were sitting also on the parliament. Both presidents were sitting on the parliament.
Parliament of which parliament?
Of France.
Aha.
Yeah.
Exactly. Côte d'Ivoire,
Houphouët-Boigny, Senghor were sitting in the parliament of France.
What are they doing in the French parliament?
Yeah, they were.
Or is it a symbolic?
They were elected as colonies also, because they had also to provide.
Okay.
They were elected for West Africa. So
they were symbolic.
And they became minister also.
In France?
Yes. As colony representative in the ministry, but sub-ministries. So this is why some of them cannot go out, do other way. Because they were indebted, because they had to pay even the debt that were contracted during the colonial period. You have to pay them back. To pay it, you need to export your product via France. They will keep part of it to guarantee the currency, part of it to pay back the debt that they contracted to invest in the dams or the the export of your own.
So when you kick them out,
Exactly.
every investment that they made,
Yeah.
you have to pay it as debt.
Instead of having the colonial debt, we have a way that we are claiming now.
No reparation, but again,
because all the infrastructure that they built during colonial period, they said that we have to pay them back.
Oh wow!
Even the hospitals, you have to pay them because they say that they evaluate the value of this infrastructure, and then it's part of your export. You cannot export everywhere and then get back your money. You have to export in countries that they designated, and then the monies go to France, and they just reduce part of your debt. This is why many countries started their independence period, the freedom period with a huge amount of debt.
So they're already bound up with the debt.
Exactly. So they had to pay back. But some countries did rebel against them, like Mali, saying that we are never paying this money again. So they changed the currency completely. We had
Mali changed its currency.
Yes, in 1961, Mali had Malian francs. That was our president decided to pull out of 1962 to pull out of from CFA and decided just to have our own currency. And then we benefited from all our export product to China, because we are exporting the cotton to China, to Soviet Union, but also France was having some, but they have to pay in foreign currency directly to Mali.
Okay, you had so that was very much important. But as you have told me before, this has continued also after the 1980s, 1983, after the coup.
Yeah, it continued. It continued just in this colonial way. But there was a coup, because when the president was thrown away in 1968, there was a military coup, and they brought back this capitalist regime. And so from 68 up to 83, at least they were running. They were using the same industry that was built after independence stay in the case of Mali. But Cote d'Ivoire, they were not allowed to have cocoa industries, processing industries. It was in France and Switzerland, and coffee the same thing. So they were not allowed to build this because for them it was just feeding.
So the value addition is done in the colonial countries.
In the colonial countries.
But one issue, the coup d'etat.
Yeah.
I mean, one question is, everybody says, African governments, why don't do this, why don't do that? But if they do something, they will expose themselves to coup d'etats.
Yeah.
Because the elite system is controlled by these colonial powers.
Exactly.
So was that the same thing for Mali?
It was the same, because we were just selling more than any of the neighboring country. We are more industrial country. We have 73 industries in the country.
In Mali?
In Mali. So the 80s, from the first decade of development by the UN was from 60 to 70, 1960 to 1970. So what we call the white elephant, Mali was also a victim of that. But we refused that. By the end of the 60s, people accepted just to have some new investment from the Bretton Woods institutions and from also other institutions from France. Crédit Agricole France was investing in the agricultural sector a lot of money, but only on cotton, because they were leading what they call the pool of bankers that every year had to review the amount of money that this company needs, because it was bound to CFDT. It was a branch of CFDT, the Compagnie Française de Développement Textile. And then the first range of debt came from that in the case of Mali. And the second decade of development, from the 70s to 80s, there was a boom of
the economic
boom on debt, because they have been undebt in the country. So usually that the early 80s, they said that you have to go for adjustment programs.
Structural adjustment program.
And this is where one of the conditions was to sell back, because all the industries were state-owned industries, and some of them have been built by China, others by the Soviet Union, actual Russia. And then they decided to, first condition, you have to privatize all the industries.
So it's because of the debt,
exactly,
that Mali was forced to go through
adjustment program.
Structural program. Because the government was broke.
Exactly. So the government was obliged to get in.
Yeah.
Secondly, they have to stop recruiting people in the civil servant. Thirdly, you have to open your market, because Mali has always been self-sufficient in food production before that period. So when we open our market, this is where all these spaghettis, all this maize coming from outside, all this rice coming from Asia, came on board and just killed
the local products.
Because it was so cheap, it was subsidized, not only, so they were dumping the prices, and then it killed the production system. Thirdly, they dismantled all the extension services, because Mali was a country. We have 12,423 villages. Each village had an extension service specialist in Mali, because the first president settled that. And the first agronomic school, Hyper de category, now it's 122 years old, 23 years old, was the first agronomist school in the whole West.
So you have also another that Timbuktu stories.
Exactly. So
this is the first university in the world.
And I had it also in agriculture, cattle. Yeah. So now they dismantled this, and the teachers from this school have been pushed to go to retire by anticipation. What you call anticipation retirement. And then, the system became very complicated.
So because of SAP, then you enter into more debt and more crisis.
Question, you faced the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they were indebted only. Mali indebtment went more on cotton.
Yeah.
But Cote d'Ivoire indebtment also was about cocoa and coffee.
Yeah.
And then they have been obliged also to go an adjustment program.
But it's not only the French government as I see it, it's a multinational company.
Exactly.
Now.
Exactly.
So in the West African countries, what is the role of multinational companies in perpetuating this production of crops and other food items for export?
Yeah, they are very strong. This is the 90s, 1990s. The 1990s, because it was, the colonial power that was coming back with their issue via using the World Bank. But when the World Bank came with the adjustment program in 1983, it started in Mali with this program. They decided just to privatize all the companies. And privatizing them, they pushed them in the hands of multinationals. All those who were just dealing with food have been pushed, because they were in all the commissions giving these opportunities for national citizens just to access to these, have been kicked out. So they gave it to multinationals. So we had the first experience of these companies coming on board. Even water system has been privatized.
Okay.
With a French, La Française des Eaux. This is the French company on water and sanitation system, bought the branch of Malian energy system. So this multinational came on board, and now most of them, because the World Bank was still continuing to promote the selling of the companies, so they came on board and they dismantled all the production system. The textile industry died completely. There is no one of the two functioning today, and all these juice production system, the cereal production industry, because you had a huge one dealing with millet, sorghum, and wheat, and
this is because the importation of food from outside.
Exactly, they couldn't sell their production, and farmers, even you produce, you cannot sell it, and then finally people just went to cotton production in the Sikasso region.
When in that
most rain-fed area, so they went for cotton production, because even getting access to different input and equipment, even a small equipment for in your farm, you have to produce cotton, because this is the condition to have it. It's the only crop that was really supported by the finance, because we are forbidden. It was forbidden for our country after we were SAPs to the government to invest in agriculture. Forbidden. We cannot subsidize anything.
Yeah, Mamadou, is this related to the conflict in the northern part of Mali?
No, this is not another story. That
conflict is
it's another story.
Okay.
Because of this is a resource. It's a conflict around resources. Now, the fragile communities like Tuareg communities that are also spread all over the West and North Africa have been used to rebel themselves
Used by whom?
by France particularly.
Okay, so it's a continuation of this colonial. Yeah, it is.
So that because they wanted to have military base when they were kicked out of the southern part, they didn't know that much the northern part of the country because this is the desertic part. So they tried just to come back, and it was very complicated. So they tried to use some of the communities against others, and the community, part of the community, Tuareg community, because it's not all. There are about 38 clans of Tuareg. It's only 3 that have been
in conflict.
Yeah. So that have been used for that, and this is also for resources. But the cattle area of the country is the northern part. So they wanted to cut this from the rest of the country.
Yeah. Now you tell me, and you can imagine. One can imagine the kind of challenge that the local communities are having in Mali because of all these changes. All the coming and the going of the French government and the coming of the multinationals. It's a lot of problems. So you mentioned some of them, but what do you think is the future? What's the solution?
Yeah, the future, because now Mali is having a new trajectory. There are good things and bad things on it. But the fantastic thing that they did first is not only to kick out France from all our system. No longer France just managing, having our agricultural policies, influence, and all these things. First. Secondly, the fact that we are not longer binded to the French banks.
And no CFA anymore.
No, CFA will disappear anyway. We will get out of it. But now we are still in, but we refuse to have our reserve of money. That is, you have a huge amount of money. That is more than 10 years of investment from all the European countries at the same time. We have that as reserve.
In France?
Kept in France just to guarantee the currency. So Mali has asked to bring back our part of the money, and they are obliged to do it. So this is a good thing that we are proceeding. Now Niger is doing the same, Burkina is doing the same, and now some countries like Chad are also claiming just to get out of the system. So for me, this is the good side of it. But they will continue to sabotage,
Yeah, obviously.
And already some areas, our land have been so degraded because of cotton production. And the system is so corruptive that it will be a very tough task to get out of that. So for this, there is a need to change not only this narrative on some of the things that people have around cotton, around cocoa, around coffee, and then to create conditions for population to get out of it. Because Mali has always been a self-sufficient country in food production.
Yeah. Is it possible to bring that back into food sovereignty, to agroecology?
Yeah, this is the reason why there was a change already with President Amadou Touré, because Mali, in our agricultural law since 2006, Mali had an agricultural law that said that food sovereignty is the guideline it's a political guideline for our food system, and that family farming is the backbone of everything that will be done in terms of investment, but also in terms of access to resources for production. That was a good step. And now it has been supported by some other sectoral policies, the land policy, open to our customs, a way that we have the communal lands debate has been done, very instrumental to the change that we have actually. And there are land commission and we're saying that no longer titles in the villages, in the agricultural land and pastoralist land and fishing land, but only certificate for detention. And that's have the same value for our banks. So there is hope, and then it's a very tough work that needs to be done.
But is it, are you, after that policy change in 2006, is there a practice of agroecology in Mali? And if there is one, then where are you with that?
It's going fast because first we had an advantage. So our system was not destroyed by chemical products and other things. We still have in many places of Mali, they never, even sometimes they never saw chemical product.
Oh, really?
Still. So this region, they don't need just for the production area, but for the processing and and the trade area of agroecology, there is a need to do a lot of work on territorial market, but also in the processing and the storage things. But production is really much more clean. And some parts of the country also, even if they use chemical product, is really low in terms of quantity. This is why it was a bit easy for our government now subsidizing organic manure. It has been the first country that decided just to subsidize organic manure also, 30% at the very beginning and 50% actually. So it's a big push just to go. And we are working on the agroecological strategy actually. I'm part of a commission, of the official commission that is in place to do that. And the state also asked me to coordinate the drafting of the land policy. I did. 2014, it was adopted and promulgated 2017, and also for the seed policy that is based on farmer seed system actually is at the parliament level to be adopted, and I coordinated it. This means that they wanted just this agroecological issue to be included in the process itself. So these are good steps, but still there is so many companies coming, harassing, and then even trying to jeopardize the whole system that we have to be very careful. But anyway, we have about a bit less than 20% of the investment of the resources for agriculture is used for agroecological, specifically agroecological, because we have a national program that is PISOL. It's only about agroecology promotion, transition in the country, but still a lot to do.
So thank you very much. Finally, I know that Mali, in the history of food sovereignty, it has a very special place because Nyeleni is in Mali, and it is there where Labia Campesina has gathered global activists and actors in 2007.
2007, yeah.
In 2007, and you produced, an explanation of what food sovereignty is. So, in short, what was your role in that, and what's your memory about that?
Yeah, already because the Nyeleni came to Mali because in our policy, our cultural policy, there will already be the concept of food sovereignty. But you remember that the food sovereignty concept came in '96, officially during the World Food Day in Rome, proposed by La Via Campesina. But because to protest against what was about food security, that they have been calling at that period, and I was in the room when they promote this, eat and shut up. Because you eat, if you have a criteria that are behind food security, this means that you don't look at the origin of your food. And then after that, I was in a group called Giving a Content to food sovereignty. There was a Europe group, because when I was doing my PhD, I was in this group in Belgium that was working to give a content to what was politically in the agenda of farmers' organization. So when I went back, because this concept I've been writing on it since that period, some of the articles, very simple ones for people to understand. And when they were organizing in Nyeleni, La Via Campesina asked me to be part of there was a scientific commission, and then we split into two groups to methodological commission. So I was part of designing the format, and they did it in Mali because Mali was the first country with Senegal to put food sovereignty in a policy document. This is the reason why Mali was chosen to host this event, and they built this center that is Nyeleni Center now, and I've been coordinating not only in Mali, but also being the commission that will set up for scientific committee and the commission. And from there, just I've been working on this issue with La Via Campesina, but also other institutions.
With AFSA too.
Yeah,
we started AFSA together.
Exactly. So we started AFSA. Yeah. And that is one of a fantastic story.
Yeah.
It came to have Agra, funded by this Rockefeller Foundation and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that I came across in 2006 in Canada. During it was really a meeting that we are organizing, and they told us that there is an initiative on Agra, and I started debating with them, saying that this is not the good path for our continent. Yeah. And they organized in 2006 in December a big event in New York, just a contradictory debate with Agra people, And this is why we organized after Nyeleni, 2007 in November, this event also that we call Agroecological Alternative to Agra. That is when we have this working group, and after we met, and then we
the rest is
on, and then we go just for this.
The rest is
Fantastic initiative.
Thank you very much, Amadou. Thank you, everyone. This is our first podcast that I'm hosting. I hope that I will invite other actors also. Thank you, Mamadou. You have really gone deep into the history of the Malian food sovereignty movement, we can call it,
Yeah.
So wish you very success, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.